Welcome to Amateur Rig Veda, where I try to understand more about the Rig Veda using an English translation. Today we have Hymn 2 by Ralph T. Griffith. Let's begin. Beautiful Vayu, come, for thee these Soma drops have been prepared. Drink of them, hearken to our call. Okay, great, wonderful. We are off to a great start in Hymn 2. Now, in Hymn 1, we were introduced to Agni. In Hymn 2, the first line introduces us to Vayu, who is beautiful and for whom the Soma drops have been prepared. Now, straight away from this, we can deduce that Vayu is not Agni because in Hymn 1, we came to know that Agni is a god, Agni is a priest, and many other aspects of Agni, but there was no mention of Soma. Whereas in hymn 2, in the first line itself, when the hymn speaks about Vayu, it also speaks about Soma. So we know Vayu is not Agni, and from hymn 1, where Agni was referred to as Angiras, we also know that Vayu is not Angiras. So that's great. We're off to a great start here. We've been introduced to two new entities. One is Vayu and one is Soma. And the line says, beautiful Vayu come. So even if we don't have the background and we don't know that Vayu is a wind god, we can guess that Vayu is some entity that the invokers are calling. Whereas Soma is probably a liquid or something that we mix into a liquid because they say Soma drops. Okay, the last part of the first line says, drink of them, hearken to our call. Okay, so let's just quickly go through the etymology so that we get the difficult word out of the way. And hearken means to hear something with attention or have regard for. So I feel overall that's a very beautiful line because the invokers are asking Vayu, whoever Vayu is, probably we'll learn more about Vayu as we go along in the hymns. The invokers are telling Vayu, well, we've prepared Soma drops for you, a drink of them, and hearken to our call, or please listen with attention to our call. Okay, great. Let's go to the next line. Knowing the days with Soma juice poured forth, the singers glorify thee, Vayu, with their hymns of praise. Okay, wonderful. Vayu is someone that is glorified with hymns of praise, and knowing the days, I think that's when I was reading this and when I was preparing this video, knowing the days is something that put me well, it's interesting. It's not something that is straightforward for me to understand. So my guess here is that knowing the days means, well, the days are different and there are some special days for Vayu and then there are not so special days for Vayu. So what that line is trying to say is, okay, Vayu, knowing the days which you like, Soma juice, with Soma juice poured forth or Soma juice prepared, the singers glorify you with hymns of praise. Very nice. Let's move to the next line. Vayu, thy penetrating stream goes forth unto the worshipper, far spreading for the Soma draught. Now, for those of us, I grew up in India, so I already know Vayu is the wind god, but if we did not have that background, if I did not have that background, when I read this, Vayu, thy penetrating stream goes forth unto the worshipper. So for me, I feel, okay, Vayu is someone who can generate a penetrating stream. And when I look for the meaning of a stream, it's often related to water, though I feel something that is relevant here is to flow. So stream is to flow. So since I grew up in India, I know Vayu is the wind god. So as a wind god, it's easy for me to connect penetrating stream and say, okay, that must be a stream of air. But if I didn't know that, then my initial guess would be Vayu is someone who can generate a penetrating stream that goes forth unto the worshipper. Now the second part of that line, far spreading for the Soma draft is that's interesting. So the penetrating stream is far spreading. It goes unto the worshipper and it's far spreading. And it's for the Soma draft. Now Soma is not something that has been described straight away. And so probably as we go along, the hymns will tell us more about what Soma is. For now, I will just assume, okay, Soma is something that is prepared for Vayu, something that Vayu likes. So when I look at the meaning of draft, there are many meanings associated with draft, but the one that I found that I'll use here or I find most relevant here is to draw or to drag out. So what I feel this line is trying to say is Vayu is someone who can generate a penetrating stream that goes forth unto the worshipper to draw out the soma. So in this case, I feel okay. Worshippers or invokers go to Vayu with Soma, and somehow Vayu has the power to generate something to ask them for the Soma or to get them to bring out the Soma for him or for Vayu. Okay, let's go to the next line. These Indravayu have been shed. Come for our offered deity's sake. The drops are yearning for you both. Okay, now we introduced to another new entity. So far, him to is information rich. We have Vayu, we have Soma, and now we have Indra Vayu. So it's not yet clear if Indra is another name of Vayu and Vayu and Indra are the same. But for now, let's see. I'll take it as it is and move on. These Indra Vayu have been shed, come for our offered deity's sake. Okay, so there are two words there, which is shed and deities, and when you look at the etymology, they are related in this line. To shed is to part with or separate. There are the multiple meanings there, but to part, separate, or divide is what I feel is most relevant here. And what are the invokers parting with? They're parting with their dainties, which is choice or pleasing food. So I feel what the first part of that line, these Indravayu have been shed, come for our offered dainty's sake, is trying to say, the invokers are trying to say, we have parted with our food. We are willing to part with our delicacies or wonderful food for you, Indravayu. We are parting with our food for you. And the next part of that line, the drops are yearning for you both. And the drops here, I feel, refer to Soma drops. So the invokers have not only prepared Soma drops, they've also prepared wonderful delicacies or delicious food for Indravayu. Okay, let's go to the next line. Well do ye mark libations, ye Vayu and Indra, rich in spoil, so come ye swiftly hitherward. This line, when I was trying to figure out what's going on here, I felt it's a little, well, it's not straightforward. Now the first part says, well do ye mark libations. Now when I look at the meaning of mark, it is to put a mark on something or to put a brand or perhaps a label or whatever it is. Now libation is something that put me off, because libation, when I looked at the meaning, it is associated with a liquid. So I feel they're pouring something or pouring out something. And if you grew up in India, if I remember correctly, abhishek or something we do with milk. So if I know it correctly, I could be wrong. I think they pour milk during an abhisheka. So I think we do have that as part of our ritual where we use liquids, but marking the libation is not something that I understand straight away here, as in how do you mark a liquid? So perhaps what the line is trying to say is Vayu and Indra, and here, perhaps Vayu and Indra have the capacity to separate or, say, okay, this liquid is for me, that liquid is for him, and so on and so forth. And one thing, I forgot to mention earlier, which I'll mention now, in the fourth line, it was Indra Vayu, and in the fifth line, it is Vayu and Indra. So Vayu and Indra, I now know, are separate entities. They're not the same. They've been separated, and they have the capacity to mark libations, which is to say, okay, this liquid is mine, or this offering is mine, and so on and so forth. Rich in spoil. Okay, spoil, when I was checking out the meaning of spoil and the etymology of spoil, I found something very nice, which I'll now share with you. Okay, spoil means to plunder. In this case, I feel means to plunder or take something from an enemy. Now, when you look at the meaning of plunder, it's loot. Now, when you look at the etymology of loot, it comes from the Hindi word loot, or the Sanskrit root loptra or lund. So I thought that was nice. You start with spoil, which is an English word, and you end up with Sanskrit etymology. So I thought that was pretty nice here. So What that line is trying to say is Vayu and Indra are both rich in spoil. They're rich in plunder. So I feel they're militaristic gods. They are gods, or well, I say gods, but it hasn't been revealed yet if they're gods. So that's not. Um, well, yeah, that's effectively cheating on my part. So I shouldn't do that. So I won't do that. Let me backtrack a bit and say, okay, so right now it appears Vayu and Indra, these invokers are praising Vayu and Indra, and they appear to be related to the military, or they appear to be related to battle. I feel they're warriors. They go and in battle, they have brought back a lot of loot, and they're rich in this loot. And the last part of that line says, "So come ye swiftly hitward." Ye is plural of thou, which is like referring to both of them effectively. And come here, hitward. Hitward is just coming here, wherever the invokers are. Okay, let's go to the next line. Vayu and Indra come to what the Soma presser hath prepared. Soon, heroes, thus I make my prayer. Now, in hymn 1, we were introduced to heroes, and if I remember correctly, hymn 1 said Agni is rich in heroes, and at that time I said, well, it'll be nice to know who the heroes are, and perhaps the hymns will tell us more about it. And here we have an example straight away in hymn 2. Hymn 2 introduces us to heroes, and Vayu and Indra are these heroes. So Agni is a god, Agni is a priest, and Vayu and Indra are heroes. And from the previous line, we know they're military heroes who are rich in plunder, or rich in spoil. So that's pretty nice. Vayu and Indra come to what the Soma presser hath prepared. So now we're getting more and more details about Soma. In the first few lines, it was Soma drops and Soma juice, and a drink prepared with Soma. So now we know there's a Soma presser. So perhaps Soma is something that is obtained after pressing something. Maybe the hymns will reveal more and more to us as we go along. And the next part of the line, soon heroes, thus I make my prayers, is basically asking Vayu and Indra to come soon, as the invoker is calling them on. Okay, let's go to the next line. Mitra of holy strength I call, and for destroying Varuna, who make the oil-fed rite complete. Okay, wonderful. Hymn 2, I feel, is quite information rich. We've been introduced to Vayu, Soma, Indra, and now we are introduced to two new entities, Mitra of holy strength. And what is holy? Holy is dedicated to a religious purpose or God. So I feel Mitra is someone of godly strength, and for destroying Varuna. So I feel, okay, both Mitra and Varuna are powerful entities. That's what I feel the invokers are trying to say. And the invokers have called on Vayu and Indra so far, and they're saying by calling Mitra and Varuna, the oil-fed rite is complete. So when you look at rite, it's a religious custom or a prescribed behavior, but the word I'm interested in is a related term, which is a ritual. And a ritual is essentially a set of repeated actions. So that's nice. The hymns reveal that, okay, there's a set of repeated actions. So these hymns are perhaps part of a ritual or a set of repeated actions. And I feel what that part is trying to say is the text in this hymn is not the full picture. It's merely, okay, they're reciting this, and maybe there are other things to it that we can, maybe the hymns will reveal to us later on how those things are to be done, or how those set of repeated actions are to be done. But I feel that line gives a glimpse into other aspects of this entire scene. So the hymn that I'm reading here is one part of the entire scene. Okay, let's go on to the next line. Mitra and Varuna through law, lovers and cherishers of law, have ye obtained your mighty power. That's nice. Previously, we were told that Vayu and Indra are rich in spoil, so I got the impression they are military, related to the military, and they're also heroes. Vayu and Indra are also heroes. So Vayu and Indra are military heroes, whereas now we come to know that Mitra and Varuna through law, and they are the lovers and cherishers of law, and they have obtained their mighty power. So I feel these are two contrasting pairs. We have Indra and Vayu, for whom Soma drops have been prepared, who are rich in spoil. And then we have Mitra and Varuna on the other side, Mitra who's of holy strength, and Varuna who's for destroying. And through law or being lovers and cherishers of law, they have obtained their mighty power. So, hopefully the hymns tell us more about Mitra and Varuna as we go along. Okay, let's go to the next line. Our sages, Mitra Varuna, of wide dominion, strong by birth, vouchsafe a strength that worketh well. Okay, wonderful. Now, I feel Mitra and Varuna here are being referred to as our sages. And who's a sage? A sage is someone who's wise, a spiritual teacher, someone essentially with a lot of knowledge. So Mitra and Varuna, and here it's called Mitra Varuna, like in line 4, they were called Indra Vayu. So Mitra and Varuna appear to be sages, people who are wise, or entities who are wise, who have a lot of knowledge, and they are of wide dominion. Now, wide, I feel in this case, means large in scope, and that along with dominion is power or the use of power, as it's mentioned here. So I feel what the hymn is trying to say is Mitra and Varuna here, Mitra and Varuna are wise, and they also have wide scope in power. Now, previously, they've been revealed to be the lovers and cherishers of law, and through law they have obtained their mighty power. So it appears Mitra and Varuna are rulers of some sort, rulers who rule through law. And that I feel is in contrast with Vayu and Indra, who are rich in spoil and who are heroes. Okay, so and the last part says, vouchsafe a strength that worketh well, and vouchsafe is to graciously give. So it's overall that hymn is quite beautiful. Okay, lots to unpack in hymn 2. In hymn 2, we've been introduced to 4 new entities: Vayu, Indra, Mitra, and Varuna. Now we know Vayu is beautiful, and Vayu has a penetrating stream that goes far and tries to draw its Soma. And Vayu and Indra, we both know, are heroes and who both like Soma, or appear to like Soma, because the hymns are saying, well, for both of them, the Soma drops have been prepared. Now, Mitra is someone of holy strength, perhaps someone of godly strength, and Varuna is foe destroying. Now, these two pairs contrast, I feel, in one area. Vayu and Indra are rich in spoil. I feel they're more military related, military heroes, whereas Mitra and Varuna are lovers and cherishers of law. So it appears they're more rulers or administrators or people who engage more often in law, whereas Vayu and Indra are more engaged in battle. Okay, hymn 2 was wonderful. And that's all I have for you today on Amateur Rig Veda. Wish you all a good week ahead.